everyone. This is so exciting. I have been wanting to start doing these live shows for a long time, and I've been very hesitant about doing so because I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about doing it. And so I put it off for quite a while, and there came a point where I realized I just had to do it. And I know that this stream is not going to go perfectly. I'm probably going to have some technical issues, switching back and forth between my screens to read, the news stories I have lined up. This is not going to go 100%, but that is perfectly okay because you have to start somewhere. Before we dive into the news stories, I want to quickly give you a rundown as to how this show is going to go. Once or twice a week, we will have a live show, which is what we're doing here. It won't be this late in the afternoon, but I tried doing this stream earlier today, and the audio had some issue going on. I just felt like I needed to give it another shot. Thankfully, not many people saw that live stream, so this feels like a very fresh do-over. Like I said, one or two videos or live shows will happen a week, with another episode or two of pre-recorded stuff that will go up another day or two a week. So you'll have, we'll start off saying 3 shows a week, and I would like to get that up to 4. And I don't have certain days yet, realistically Monday through Thursday, but there may be a pre-recorded show for Friday every once in a while. But I would like to do a live show Monday and Thursday, with Tuesday and Wednesday being pre-recorded stuff, which this week we're only going to be doing 2 live shows because I haven't quite figured out what the pre-recorded stuff is going to look like. So bear with me as I kind of get my whole setup adjusted and schedule going. And the basic outline of each episode, I'll have a few news stories picked out that we will discuss. And then I would like, once I get enough people watching this, to have a time for a Q&A type thing. But because we have, let's see, we got 2 people watching this, so today's not the best time to start doing the Q&A stuff. So we'll hold off on that for now. With all of that being said, let's dive into our first news story here. And today was a day of sequel announcements, it seemed like, because in the morning, The Expendables was announced to have a 4th film in the works. It'll start production in October, and oddly enough, it's really weird that this was announced today, because yesterday I found myself thinking about these films. I really do not know why, but I found myself thinking about the films, the first one, the second one, and even the inferior third film. I felt like it was time to revisit 1 and 2. 2 being especially special to me because it was the first R-rated film I saw in a theater at the young age of 13. I'm so glad I convinced my dad to take me to see that because I had a blast. Again, these films are not going to reinvent the action genre. They're not going to give you a moving story. But what they are, as over-the-top, non-stop action films with some, very, very well-known action stars, they are perfect. They couldn't do what they do any better. The third one was impacted by that PG-13 rating, but it did allow me to go out to the theater and see it with some friends, which was a lot of fun. But I do think that third film should have had that R rating, and I really, really hope that this 4th film gets that R rating because the series really, really needs it. So we will see. But as I switch screens here, assuming that my computer does everything it's supposed to, per The Hollywood Reporter, they were the first ones to break this story this morning. The Expendables 4 is announced with returning cast members Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham. I'm terrible with names, but let's see if I can not butcher this. Randy Couture? I don't know. And Dolph Lundgren will be returning with some newcomers. One name in particular that I was surprised about was Megan Fox. I was very surprised to see that she was going to be involved in this film, but we will also have Curtis 50 Jackson and Tony Jaa rounding out the pre-existing cast members. And I know that recently Megan Fox has stated that she wants to reignite her acting career, her film career. And I think that I like the idea. She obviously wasn't the best in Transformers, but no one was really given peak material for that film. And I watched the series New Girl last year when we were all at home, and I thought she did a great job in her appearance in there. She's a great actress. Her career has not done the best for her, especially those Transformers films, but she's a great actress. And most recently, she was in a film called Till Death, which is a very simple suspense thriller film where she has to try and survive while she's handcuffed to her deceased husband. Very simple film, very intense, a massive surprise, and she was good in that. So putting her in a film like this alongside, Stallone, Statham, I don't see how this can go wrong. And we know she's a good action star based off the Transformers films. And seeing her in a film like this, I can't help but get excited. Not only for a fourth Expendables film, and I'm sure we will get more cast announcements as this film, becomes closer to its production date and its release date. We don't know much about the story, but I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, that the film is going to be all these, action, these big, it's going to be Stallone, Statham, and all, in that crew having to take down a bad guy. I have a sneaking suspicion that's what it's going to be. These films, like I said, most films like this don't do anything new to the action genre, but they give you a very, very entertaining time at the movie. They're perfect films to go sit in a dark theater and watch just explosions and shootouts and fist fights. It's exactly what you think it's going to be. But you know what? I can't help but be really excited to see this film. The next story that I have lined up, and most episodes I will go more in depth with each story, but I'm trying to keep this very simplistic so I can go back and see what works and what doesn't and adjust these streams accordingly. But our next story is yet another sequel that was announced, one that I might be a little more excited for than the Expendables, and that is Jungle Cruise. If you watched my box office breakdown episode from yesterday, I mentioned a Jungle Cruise sequel, and I said that the chances are high now that the film has crossed that $100 million mark. And sure enough, today, the Hollywood Reporter once again broke the news that Jungle Cruise was getting a sequel, with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt expected to return in their roles, with the director from the first film also returning. And much like the Expendables, Jungle Cruise doesn't reinvent any genre. It doesn't do anything new. There's nothing about it that's revolutionary. But I had a blast with this film. I absolutely had a ton of fun from beginning to end. I wanted to see it opening weekend, and I ended up going on vacation for that week. And then I came back, and it was that Thursday where the Suicide Squad was coming out and taking over IMAX and Dolby. And I wanted to see this film on the biggest screen possible, so I found a 12:30 Dolby showing at an AMC near me that I love going to, and I thought that I was going to be the only person in there. I really, really, really did. I had no expectation of seeing any other people, minus a few. To my surprise, my theater was almost completely full. 12:30 on a Thursday. Now, I get it was early August, so school wasn't back in session, but the film had been out for about a week. It was the first showing of the day, and it was a premium format, which I really, and that's usually when I go to those premium format films, is, middle of the week, middle of the day, because there's not as many people there. It's a really great experience, but the theater was almost full. And everyone was laughing and just having a great time. And this film does have plenty of moments that will have you laughing, particularly with Dwayne Johnson's Frank. His character is hysterical. He's What I really did like about the film is it took what people love about the Jungle Cruise ride and put it in here. So you have so many just laughably bad puns and jokes, dad jokes in this movie. But my gosh, they all worked. I was laughing at every single one of them. Dwayne Johnson, and bear with me on this comparison here. Dwayne Johnson is turning into a extension of Ryan Reynolds, and the reason I say that is Dwayne Johnson really didn't do many rom-coms like Ryan Reynolds did in his early career. Speaking of which, The Proposal, if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend that movie enough. It's one of my favorite rom-coms. It's absolutely hilarious. He and Sandra Bullock kill it. But he did, some rom-coms early in his career, and then kind of went into that action category. Dwayne Johnson started off with family films, and then kind of branched into, more of the action-style films, while still having a family component. And we're seeing them both in a lot of films right now. And they're even starring in a film together later this fall for Netflix called Red Notice with Gal Gadot, which I'm super excited for. But, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is over at, Fox, Disney with Deadpool. You got Dwayne Johnson over at Warner Brothers with Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson also has Jumanji with Sony. He's got Jungle Cruise with Disney. They're both working for Netflix. So Dwayne Johnson is quickly becoming a hot commodity, and I'm all for it. I personally am not tired of seeing him in films. Even though he kind of plays the same character in each film, he does it so well, and he brings a very, very nice, charming element to each role, and humor, and his dynamic with his fellow cast is excellent. So I'm not tired of seeing him in these movies yet, and that is super, super exciting for me to say, because he's going to be in a lot more projects. We're seeing him, in Black Adam, Red Notice, now a Jungle Cruise sequel. It's rumored that a Jumanji third film is in the works, so he's everywhere. I'm all for it. I don't know what a Jungle Cruise sequel would really look. I mean, I have an idea. It'll be another adventure, but I'm very interested to see what exactly they do with a sequel, and I'm all for it, because if I can get another adventure with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt in these roles, I'm all for it. I will be there day one. Bring it on, honestly. I'm so glad that we got this sequel. We have a sequel to Cruella coming with Emma Stone. So these films that are debuting in theaters and on Premier Access, clearly there's a demand for them, which is really, really great. I'm more surprised about the Cruella sequel than I am Jungle Cruise, because Jungle Cruise seemed like the type of film that was there to start a franchise, which in some instances is okay. Sometimes that's perfectly acceptable, and this is one of those instances. So Jungle Cruise sequel is now in development at Disney. I am super excited. I just can't wait to see this film. The next thing that I do want to talk about on a more sad note is the passing of Ed Asner that was announced yesterday, Sunday, August 28th, 27th. Ed Asner is someone that I haven't seen his early work, the work that a lot of people know him from, like the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I haven't seen any of that. I know Ed Asner as a lot of people my age and younger would know Ed Asner from, and that is Disney's Up, as well as Elf, the classic holiday film with Will Ferrell. He played Santa in there, and of course he voiced Carl in Up. I remember going to see Up in the theater when I was a kid, and I just loved it. Every character, the dynamic between Carl and Russell, Doug and Kevin. The whole movie just really captivated me as a kid, and I absolutely loved it. I thought that Christopher Plummer's character, drawing a blank on his character's name, but he kind of creeped me out as a kid. He worked just fine as the bad guy. I really enjoyed this film, and I still really love this film every time I rewatch it. It was I flipped it on a few weeks ago, and it's still just as amazing. So, and I've seen Ed Asner in a few supporting, minor roles, on TV and films. But I wanted to take a look at his IMDb page before I jumped on here. And what really surprised me, it showed me just how talented and dedicated and passionate to his work he was. He had somewhere around 430 to 450 acting credits on IMDb, if I'm not mistaken. That is incredible, and that's not something you see every day. I mean, I know he has been working for several decades, but that is still a very astonishing and very honorable legacy for him to leave behind. I mean, he left behind things for children, adults, people that are around for the Mary Tyler Moore Show and things like that. He left something for everyone. He definitely touched, people of every generation. And so it was really sad to, hear of his passing yesterday. The final thing that I want to talk about on a happier note is, after several months, we are now looking towards the opening of Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings this weekend. I am so excited to see this film. I have my opening night IMAX tickets, the very first showing on Thursday. I couldn't be more excited to see this film. I've been super excited since the trailers, even though they weren't the best trailers. It looked like it was going to be visually just incredible. And then the world premiere happened, and the excellent reviews came out of there. And then the fan screenings happened, and people loved it from there. And so I got even more excited because I have a feeling this is going to be something truly special. Now, with that being said, the film has a very daunting task, and that is to essentially determine the fate of a large portion of the fall movie season. Now, I say that because every studio is looking at Shang-Chi. Even Marvel has stated that if the film underperforms, they will likely push Eternals back, which would then in turn most likely push Doctor Strange, Thor 2, every Marvel film that we have coming next year, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home, most likely, although that is Sony's films, so that would be up to them. But Venom as well. So all eyes are on Shang-Chi, and there have been a lot of speculations about what the film could possibly make its opening weekend, and I'm going to be optimistic. I am going to be the voice of optimism, and I know other people are too. I think, in my prediction, I think that the film will land in the 54 to 58 million range for its opening weekend domestically. And I know that the standard prediction is between like 45 and 50, but I'm going mid to upper 50s because I think that the film has it in it. It is the first Marvel film since the pandemic to be a theaters only. Black Widow came out at a time where the pandemic felt a little less serious. We kind of had that few month gap where things felt like they were getting better, and that this was starting to get behind us. And now we're kind of back to that. Well, we have the Delta variant to worry about. Certain cities have vaccine mandates for indoor theaters and things like that. So there's now more things to worry about. And yes, that is something that we need to take into consideration for Shang-Chi. But this is a Marvel film, and the diehard fans are going to be there for this film. Hopefully. And I don't think it'll be that big of an issue, but the fan screenings were in IMAX a few weeks ago. They were free. And I know that they're only for one night only around the country. So relatively a large amount of people got to see it early, but when you think of, the whole entire, population of the country that would be willing to go see Shang-Chi, I think that we are still going to see some strong box office numbers from this film, which is why I'm staying in that 54 to 58 million range. I do think that this film is going to surprise us. Again, it doesn't have a Disney Plus component like Black Widow, Jungle Cruise, Cruella, and Raya and the Last Dragon did. It is just going to be in theaters only for the 45-day theatrical window. After that, it'll go to PVOD, I would imagine. We don't know what way it'll do that, but Marvel is doing the 45-day theatrical window. So I think this film is going to do very well its opening weekend. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, but unfortunately, I do think we will see a drop like we did with Black Widow its second weekend. But if Shang-Chi can just perform, in that 50 million range, it would be a great range, and studios would see that and have a little more faith in the theater going population, I think, and keep their films where they are. We know that No Time to Die is pretty certain with its October release. Is it October or November? I think it's October. But MGM has set the world premiere for No Time to Die, so I think that film is pretty comfortable in its release date. But again, we could see a lot of major films shift if Shang-Chi underperforms. So, as excited as I am also very concerned to see what this film is going to do. I think it has a lot of potential, and I really do think it's going to surprise us. But we do have to worry about its performance and what that could mean for the fall movie-going season. Now, we won't see many films, like Oscar contenders. We won't see many of them move. We know we will not see the Warner Brothers films move because they have that day-and-date component on HBO Max. Although I do really, really wish we would see some news that Dune would be theaters only. I think if Shang-Chi overperforms, and this is all speculation, I don't know, if Shang-Chi overperforms, then maybe Warner Brothers would feel a little more comfortable about putting Dune theaters only. Of course, the director behind Dune, Denis Villeneuve, has been very, very vocal that this film is not one that you should see on a streaming service. It demands to be seen on the big screen, which, of course, as an advocate for the movie-going experience and preserving that, I will be there day one for Dune in theaters, along with what comes out that same day. Isn't it Jackass Forever and The French Dispatch? That is one heck of a triple feature that I plan on actually doing. I might put Dune right after Jackass because I'm gonna lose a lot of brain cells watching Jackass, and then I would like to redeem it with something as high concept as and gorgeous looking as Dune. I think that would be the perfect redemption. Now, I know Jackass is going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm going to laugh. Well, I'm going to laugh my ass off at Jackass, but I don't expect anything more than that from this movie. I don't think it's going to be good at all, but I can't wait. So I do plan on actually doing that triple feature on October 22nd. Also because I've never done a triple feature at a movie theater. I've done a few double features, but I've never gone for the triple. So that might be the day to finally do it. But yes, Shang-Chi. All eyes are on this film. I think it's going to surprise us, and I think that the fall... I mean, no one knows. If we've learned anything, we don't know what the heck is going to happen in a week or 2 weeks from now with this pandemic. It is so unpredictable. Getting vaccinated is more important than ever right now, especially going into fall and winter. Everyone has access to a vaccine now. It's definitely something that should be looked into. Vaccine mandates are out in New York and LA, if I'm not mistaken. I know New York for sure, but I don't know if LA has officially started that yet. But I think we'll see a lot more cities around the country doing this going into the fall and winter season, especially with the flu. If we don't take the proper precautions, it could be a very nasty winter. So I, again, am so excited to see Shang-Chi, but I'm a little nervous about its numbers and what it could mean for the fall movie-going season. Of course, on Sunday, we will break it all down with my new series box office breakdown. That's not the that's not the official title of that series. I'm just not creative to come up with something better yet. So for now, that's what we'll call it. Thank you so much for watching this live stream, whether you're watching it live or if you're watching it after the fact, or, and I forgot to announce this at the beginning, if you are listening to this, because there is a podcast form of this show. If you aren't able to catch it live, you can listen to it on the go, wherever you get your podcasts. It should be out a few hours from now after the live stream ends. So I will of course share a link to the live stream where you can go and watch it, but I will also share the podcast link, so you can go find that, subscribe to the podcast. And there will be other stuff that's added to the podcast. It won't just be these live shows and the pre-recorded shows. I've got some other stuff planned, but that's another video for another day. I have a lot more of announcements to make. I'm just not 100% ready to make them because not all of them are finalized yet. But when they are, of course, I will share them with you right here on this YouTube channel. Thank you once again for Thank you so much once again for watching this video. Listening to this after the fact, watching this after the fact. It means so much to me. Please bear with me as I get everything adjusted and learn what works and what doesn't, and get used to the live streaming aspect. I'm very particular about what I say in videos, which is why some have a lot of cuts. But with a live stream, if I mess something up, if I say something wrong, I have to go with it, and that's very tricky for me to do. Because I don't like, twisting up my words and not being able to undo it. So it's going to take me a bit of an adjustment period to get used to the live streaming format and get fully comfortable doing it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you once again. I can't thank you enough. I really, really can't. I could sit here all day saying thank you over and over again. But thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Logan Mitz. I will be here every episode with you, discussing the latest news, the latest announcements, the latest trailers, all of that fun stuff. You can look for separate reviews on this exact same YouTube channel, and a few more announcements of where else you can find